Well, good morning. It is what, the fourth day of October? Is it
The fourth.
fourth
Yep.
of
Here we
October?
go.
Breaking news this morning. Job openings. Listen to this. Job openings plunged by more than 1.1 million just in August. Plunged. Didn't go up, they plunged. And this is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics release. They say that the available positions totaled 10.5 million for the month, which is a 10% drop from the 11.17 million that was reported in July, and that was also well below the 11.1 million FactSet estimate. Yet, if you look today, the markets are just flowing. Everything is flowing. Our gold and silver is up, platinum is up, palladium is up, stock market's up, Bitcoin is up, everything is up today. Why do you think that's happening? Go ahead, guys. I got you on there instead of me, but anyway, go ahead.
I mean, everything's pumping right now. It's pumped over, but I mean, we're just seeing a weaker dollar. I mean, I really think that the markets are extremely optimistic.
We've been saying, look, once the dollar goes down, things will start going back up. But what do you guys think about this stock market right now? Just busting loose. I mean, the stock index futures were way up overnight, right? And yet we have a huge number in jobs down, plunged down. We have inflation up. How can the stock market be doing what it's doing right now? What do you guys think is going on?
I think there's two factors to it, but Andy, you want to share with them your thoughts?
By the way, you got Andy back today.
Good to be back, everybody. I think this is, the dead cat bounce. We had one of the worst Septembers in history in the markets, just absolute bloodbath. We're seeing a bounce back. People want to be optimistic. People don't want their 401ks to go into the tank. So people are going to have these little buyback rallies. They always come up. It's never straight up.
Andy, do you think this is them buying the stocks? Is that what you're saying?
I think some people are thinking that it's a good time. We're going to get some good discounts.
No, I'm telling you right now, it's being manipulated. This isn't normal. Things like this do not happen, right? I mean, look, the night before last, the repo and reverse repo operations was up 2.4. Last night, it was 2.2 for today. 100 and some counterparties. So it's not normal when you have things like this where the market is jumping just like it is right now, just because the dollar. I got to tell you, I think the market's going to go right back down. I don't even know if it's hit over 30 yet, but as of right now, the market is still 23 or 26% down for the year.
No, I agree with you. I think this is a massive, massive bull trap, right? Or bear trap, rather. And I think that this is a false relief rally, and we're going to see the markets get decimated in the upcoming weeks. It looks like from what we're seeing right now, I looked at the S&P 500 chart on TradingView early this morning, and I compared it to the 2008 chart.
Yeah, what did you see?
Virtually identical.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at everything, it's very, very identical. And listen, for a year now, I have argued that the increase in inflation would become persistent, and that it include not only bad policies, but also negative supply shocks. And that central banks' attempt to fight it would cause a hard economic landing. Now, you've got Credit Suisse, which is on the verge of Lehman Brothers right now. That's huge.
That's huge.
And yet the market is still flying high. Listen, there's some serious things going on. Look, when the recession comes, and I've warned, it will be severe and protracted with widespread financial distress and debt crises.
It's technically here already. We've had 2 quarters of negative growth.
Exactly.
And they're raising rates into a recession. Well, it's only going to deepen. I think it's going to deepen a lot more severely than it is now.
I think there's a lot of optimism and belief that the Fed is going to, pivot, right? I think that's why we see
You and I were talking about it this morning, and you used two words. You remember what that was? What happens when you get a bear in a
trap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a death trap,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And that's what I'm talking about here. Central bankers now have caught themselves in a debt trap. Not a bear trap, but a debt trap, right? And they may still wimp out and settle for above target inflation, and any portfolio of risky equities and less risky fixed income bonds will lose money on the bonds owing to higher inflation and inflation expectations. And see, what I've noticed is that the higher yielding stocks are the ones that are bringing the market up. Well, not everybody has that kind of money and has it in those $300, $400 share stocks, right? Like Tesla and whatever. I haven't even really looked at it yet this morning because I've been so busy with phone calls this morning. But you know where I'm going with this. And so when the recession comes, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at widespread financial distress and debt crises. And, first, I'll tell you something, Team Transitory clearly lost to Team Persistent, if you know what I mean. Who said transitory?
Everybody said transitory.
Even our I shouldn't be mean on her, but poor little Janet, Miss Yellen. Is she married?
I have no idea.
Oh, I wonder. Miss Yellen, are you married? I wonder. She's
probably having an affair with Jerome Powell.
I don't know.
If you can stop
I don't
that
know.
vision.
Yeah, wow.
Google for me. See if Miss Yellen is married. I want to know if Miss Yellen is married. First of all, I want to know who would marry her. Her head is about like that, and it looks like it's just squished down. But she's supposed to have a lot of knowledge, but she's the one that said, "Oh, everything is transitory."
They all said that. Yeah, all the economists said that. The government said that. And why do people think that the Fed isn't going to do anything right? That's what I want to ask. Fed screws up everything. They get everything wrong all the time. And now we're supposed to have faith.
Oh yeah, she's married, all right. Who's she married to? Mr. Yellen?
George Akerlof.
Oh, doesn't even have his name?
I guess not.
Maybe they're just friends.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe they're just friends.
Yeah, but my point.
But she kind of looks like she belongs to the LGBTQ.
Oh God, you're gonna get us canceled.
No. I just thought she might be. I don't know. I don't know if she is or not. But anyway, I just wish they would get things right because look,
they never. But the thing is, they get things wrong over and over again. And why does anybody think that anything's going to be different this time?
I gotta tell you something. On top of excessively loose monetary, physical, and credit policies, negative supply shocks caused price growth to literally surge. Negative price shocks, right? And so these COVID-19 lockdowns led to supply bottlenecks, including for labor. And then China has their zero COVID policy that created even more problems for global supply chains. And then you have Russia's invasion of Ukraine. What that did was that sent shock waves through energy and other commodity markets. So, when you look at the broader sanctions regime, not least the weaponization of the dollar, all these currencies, they have balkanized the global economy with what we call friendshoring and trade and immigration restrictions that are accelerating the trend toward de-globalization. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, I'm thinking, what am I going to do to prepare for this? What am I going to do to prepare for the nail in the coffin?
Yeah, you were mentioning you had, on your personal, I know you got a lot, but you got a lot of silver.
I've been buying a bunch of silver.
And you said 25x. You were using, instead of the word 10x, which I've heard a lot, you're talking the word 25.
So there's supposed to be, it appears like one of the biggest buying opportunities that we see for physical silver right now. And I'm having a conversation with you and Andrew this morning on the way to the office, and multi-billion-dollar investor Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh yeah, we all know who he is.
And I like to ask Andy, like, what are your thoughts about him claiming and him saying that this is the biggest buying opportunity for silver right before the Fed pivots, and he's seeing a $500 silver price. If you do the math, that's 25 times the value of what silver is today. So for every $1,000 you would have, if silver is trading at 500 on spot, an extra $25,000, 1,000 to 25,000.
How much could somebody start with? How much could someone start with just in like silver, just to get started? What could they start with, Robert?
Honestly, I would suggest, always getting your feet wet. Dollar cost averaging on the silver product, but start off with like $5,000. If you don't have $5,000, start off with $2,500, right? If that's not available to you, set yourself up with a subscription program for at least $500 to $1,000 monthly. Start accumulating, because if Robert Kiyosaki is correct, right, and silver does a 25x, well, for every $1,000, you would have $25,000.
Smart. That's some really good information right there. What's yours on that, Andy?
Yeah, I think that's I love what you said, Rob. I think that it's a great opportunity now for silver. Probably is not going to be around for a long time. And keep in mind, everybody, the silver market is highly manipulated. We know that.
That's true.
J.P. Morgan was busted for spoof trading and manipulating the market. At a certain point, and Rick Rule makes this point, at a certain point, the demand will be so great for silver and the supply will be so low that the paper traders will not be able to manipulate the market. And we know that from talking to gold dealers and silver dealers, the ratio of people who are buying now to those who are selling is incredibly skewed on the favor of the buying. If we had a real free market in gold and silver, prices would be double, triple, maybe even 5 times what they are now. So that day is going to come when the paper traders can't manipulate the market. Then we have a real market, and we'll see that the demand will push silver, gold way higher, and the time to get in right now is always when it's boring, when the waters are calm. You don't want to get in when everybody's FOMOing in and desperate.
That's key. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about gold?
I love gold. Come on. I see gold from a very esoteric point of view. When you hold gold and when you own physical gold, it seems like gold just continues to attract like product.
Great point.
Right. So I feel like with physical gold, from a standpoint of protecting myself, gold's always been a form of protection.
Let me share something with you guys. This came in this morning from Wall Street on Parade, and it talks about at 6:53 a.m. this morning, Dow futures were up 454 points. 454 points. And that followed the Dow Jones Industrial Average gaining 765 points yesterday. So it closed at 765. And no one who's been a trader on Wall Street or a stockbroker for multiple decades believes that this rally is real. And Wall Street veterans now are thinking that either the Fed's plunge protection team, remember that word, FPPT, Fed's plunge protection team, or the Treasury's plunge protective team is behind the rally. So it's exactly what I've been saying. So you have to be there to understand what's going on, and I've been there. And it says, let me tell you, and they're saying equally unbelievable. They have a chart here that indicates that the fact that the major banks on Wall Street closed in the green yesterday. Yesterday, Robert, and what were we talking about? We were talking about Credit Suisse and the big shakeup with Credit Suisse. So they closed in the green on yesterday, and many of these counterparties to Credit Suisse derivatives and thus subject to the potential for contagion. Contagion means spreading, right?
Correct.
Like the pandemic, like the
like
COVID. Like the COVID.
COVID, yeah.
Right. Once she got it, then he got it. Then he got it, then
Right.
she got it. And then just then even babies got it, right?
God,
And then even presidents got it.
right.
And then even, it just went on and on and on. Well, until everyone works on Wall Street is 25 years old and too young to remember what happened in 2008 after Citigroup began to quake, Wall Street traders are not going to believe that the Dow can stage a legitimate rally or even a short squeeze rally when you have a global, systematically important bank such as Credit Suisse blowing out its credit default swaps. Right?
This is Lehman Brothers all over again.
And
I think it comes down to fundamentals. The market can avoid fundamentals for only so long, but the fact is, we're coming in. What's going on in Europe? They don't have energy. They don't have fuel.
I talk to my friends over there all the time. They're like, it's getting cold. I'm like, how cold is it? Well, it's 10.
Right.
Not Celsius, right? Fahrenheit. Is it Fahrenheit? Fahrenheit over there.
You're looking at the potential collapse of the European economy.
It's like 30 degrees. It's like cold.
Because of the energy. What's happening there with energy. You look at the potential collapse of the European economy, which will be a worldwide collapse because Europe is
climate change. That's all climate change.
No, come on.
They're saying it's all climate change. Wait, we're gonna have the coldest winter of ever winter in these places. You wait and see.
But they don't have gas because of the Russia's been cut off. Russia was their main supplier of gas.
Yeah. And now they're saying that it's possibly the United States that actually cut the pipeline, shut off the pipeline because it benefits the United States because they're the largest with LNG now, when you think about it. Right? Hey, let me share something else with you. So Wall Street on Parade goes on and says, the 5-year CDs of Credit Suisse has spiked from a reading of 55 basis points in January to a historic intraday high of more than 350 basis points on Monday.
Wow.
The price of a credit default swap reflects the cost of insuring oneself against a debt default by the bank. Who would be stampeding into the CDs of Credit Suisse and driving up the cost of production?
Not retail.
And the mega banks on Wall Street that are counterparties to its derivative, remember all these counterparties on the repo, the mega banks on Wall Street that are counterparties to its derivative trades come to mind, as well as hedge fund speculators. So what are y'all thoughts on that?
I think it's a house of cards, and we could be looking at worse than 2008.
Like a trap.
It's a house of all these credit default swaps and all these complicated financial instruments. Like I was saying before, they don't really connect with any fundamentals in the economy, and the more the financial system becomes dependent upon them, it's a trap. It's a house of cards, and we're looking at a collapse that could be levels of magnitude beyond what was in 2008.
Well, Wall Street on Parade says that various analysts on Wall Street were issuing votes of confidence on the bank yesterday.
They're referring to Credit Suisse, right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, one can't rely on the analysts at other global banks on Wall Street to tell the truth about how bad the situation is at Credit Suisse. And the derivative desk of those same banks are highly likely derivative counterparties to Credit Suisse and could lose billions of dollars if its defaults and catch the contagion it leaves in its wake. And in fact, many of these banks are likely demanding more cash collateral from Credit Suisse on those derivative trades as they say here, type these words. I don't sound too good. And they go on and they say that the panic around Credit Suisse has been growing as its share price dived this year and last after the bank suffered over $5 billion in losses from its tricked up derivatives with the family office's hedge fund, Archegos Capital Management. And we remember what happened with Archegos.
Did they go under?
They went belly up. That's exactly right. They went belly up in March of last year.
That's right.
When they actually went belly up. And Credit Suisse reputation took another hit from its involvement in the Green Seal Capital scandal. So they're all intertwined. Contagion. And then, of course, there was the infamous Spygate scandal in 2019 where the bank spied on and followed various employees. And you can't make this stuff up. This is real happen. This is like really happening. And so the panic moves around Credit Suisse shares and CDs on Monday that were fueled by a tweet that went viral on Saturday. An ABC business reporter, David Taylor, tweeted this statement. Listen to this. He said, credible sources tell me a major international investment bank is on the brink.
Wow.
That's ABC business reporter David Taylor. And he says the tweet was actually removed after it had been retweeted say that 10 times, more than 4,000 times.
Wow.
So Dennis Kelleher, president of a nonprofit watchdog called Better Markets, he released this following statement yesterday on the situation. I want to share it with you guys. He says, as the financial conditions of Credit Suisse continue to deteriorate, raising questions of whether it will collapse, the world and U.S. taxpayers, this is why you need to be listening to this, the world and U.S. taxpayers should be deeply worried as multiple simultaneous shocks shake the foundations of the economies worldwide. Credit Suisse is a global, systematically significant, too big to fail bank that operates in the U.S. and is deeply interconnected throughout the global financial system. Its failure would have widespread and largely unknown repercussions from the inconvenient to the possibility catastrophic.
Well, that goes back to the point you were making before. What we're seeing is the failure of globalization.
Well, here we go. And this is exactly, Andy, you had it on. He said that is due in part to the failure of the Federal Reserve to properly regulate the activities of foreign banks that have used U.S.-based operations. And the U.S. has a largely ineffective regulatory framework with gaping loopholes that fail to include some of even the most basic safety and soundness requirements, which incentivizes regulatory arbitrage. As a result, the U.S. financial system and economy are needlessly threatened.
Retail investors are about to get blasted. What are you going to do? Stay in your positions, save 30, 40, 50 years of retirement planning to see it dwindle out the window because of this institution? These people are going to get so blasted, it's ridiculous. Retail, uneducated, unsophisticated investors, their heads are on the chopping block. They should start waking up. This is big news. This is unprecedented.
This is why I'm saying you can't make this up. This is not a hoax. This is real.
Yeah.
And let me share something else with you. I want to watch you guys. An effective and appropriate regulatory framework for large foreign banks that covers all of the U.S.-based affiliates should have been established when the Fed set up so-called U.S.-based intermediate holding companies, IHCs, that they regulate, and instead U.S.-based branches or foreign banks, which are not consolidated within the IHC, face significantly weaker standards than the IHC, remarkably including no specific capital requirements in the U.S. Furthermore, the branches have significantly weaker liquidity requirements.
Give them a stress test.
I don't think they do stress tests anymore.
No,
I don't
Wow.
think so. I think I haven't seen any stress tests on the banks in a long
Wow.
time. Maybe we should look into that.
Yeah,
I don't know. And so let me tell you. So what this has resulted in is this has resulted in many foreign banks, including in particular Credit Suisse, engaging in regulatory arbitrage by shifting large amounts of assets from their IHCs to their branches and their entities that are entirely reliant on the resources of the foreign-based parent companies. And the 2008, here we go again, financial collapse proved that these resources are not available in periods of stress, which is why the U.S. bailed out so many foreign banks operating in the U.S. that the Fed should have stopped long ago.
wow, this is big news.
And is well known, risk in the global financial system that materialize everywhere easily end up becoming risk right here in the United States. And it literally, it chokes, it threatens our financial system and our economy. It chokes us, it threatens us. And those risks are amplified by unprecedented physical and monetary policies that are attempting to address the many unexpected shocks from the pandemic and the war. And the Fed must see Credit Suisse as a warning sign and improve the regulatory framework for large foreign banks and all banks to ensure that American financial system and economy are properly protected. But you're not hearing anything about Credit Suisse yesterday in the news or anything like that. They're keeping it very quiet. But, I just want to get it out there because this is very threatening to everything.
Yeah, like what Rob was saying about the retail investor, being in danger, being threatened here, is
Right in the crosshairs.
Right in the crosshairs is because you're at the mercy of this whole system, which we now see doesn't protect us. They don't have the measures to protect us. It's all geared towards favoring these mega banks, and so that they can be profitable. So we're looking at, if we zoom out a little bit, we're looking at the end of globalization, the failure of globalization, the return to real assets, to the return to what's real.
This is
what's
why it's so
tangible.
important to start getting your house in order. And like I said, I've been saying this over and over and over. We're just here to show you a way out. There is a way out. There's a way to protect your investments. Diversify, diversify, diversify. Get into assets like Andy's talking about, into hard assets, and give us a call. You can always reach us at 800-753-8534. I'll say it again, 800-753-8534. Or you can even call the trade desk at 323-380-5485. Again, 323-380-5485. And just, if you have any questions, if you want to learn how you can literally just invest a few dollars to get into silver, gold, there's ways that you can do it, right? If you're 25 years old and you're just getting started, start out yourself on a payment plan where you can actually start purchasing precious metals, like however much money you can handle. We'll work out anything for you. That's where we're a lot different than most others. Most others just want to sell you, charge high premiums on the metals. We're not like that. We're here to help you. Sometimes we don't even make any money off the deals.
That's right. Yeah.
We're just here to help you. And let me just tell you, there's a way out, and you can do it. You can do it with an IRA. You can do it with a 401k. You can do it with dirty fiat money that's just going to end up being worthless anyway when it turns out we go into this CBDC, the central bank digital currency. And I've said this over and over and over, and I don't just mean the United States. I'm talking about the broadest form of this digital currency is going to become the central bank offering us. And when I say central banks, I'm talking about central banks, not just the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is one central bank. You have many central banks all around the globe. But the central bank will be offering deposit accounts to us, the people at large. So now, instead of our transactions being with a private bank, now were with the Federal Reserve, and believe me, it can be traced all the way down, right? They got all these IRS agents coming in for all these different things. I heard they hired 5,000 just recently, customer service IRS agents, 5,000 more. So
In addition to the 87,000?
well, that's part of it. I
Part
think.
of it,
I don't know.
okay.
It could be. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I just saw where they hired 5,000 customer service. But you know, you think about it. If I give you a dollar bill now, I give it to you. There's no way it can be traced. I handed it to you. They don't know who gave it to you. They don't know who I gave it to. But if I give that to you in any form of a digital currency, which right now they're really talking about regulating the digital currency, not just they're not just talking about the CBDC. They're talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these different coins out there. They're figuring out a way they can regulate it or just get rid of it. And it's going to be a while, but they'll figure out a way, because think about it. Why would they want to have a currency compete against the central bank digital currency? Now, those that have a lot of money, it's a great way for them to move money around and store it, right? Because they can just move it from one stick to another stick. But they are figuring out ways to regulate that even. So you got to be very, very careful on that. But look, get into metals, precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, because it's a way that you can exchange for more value later on. Like right now, gold's up how much? $30 an ounce, somewhere around that?
Yeah, it's up $31 today.
Yeah, everything's up. Everything's up.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, getting away from that, I want to share something with you that came across the wire. And it talks about, listen to this, you guys. So, you know, they talk about, and I don't want to get into it too much, but they talk about how things are like not put in drop boxes and things like that, right? Well, it's interesting because I voted for Caruso, you know, here for California. And
In the primary.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
primary. And I mailed it in. But I don't think it counted. But now all of a sudden, there's no mail-ins are going in or anything. But Caruso's numbers are going up and Bass is going down here in LA, right?
Mhm.
Well, for mayor, we're talking about mayor.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Caruso, I'm going to be October the 8th. I'll be at one of his convention type things. I'll be at one of his deals. But and let me share something with you. No mail-ins are going in or anything. It's just done by polls and by the phone and by stopping by your door, these sort of things. But I'm just wondering if I would mail in it again, if because a lot of people mail in. So let me tell you, vote, 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 and stand in line. Stand in line, make sure your vote is counted, because if you mail it in, like, you just don't know if it's in there. And here's why I'm mentioning
Yeah, I
it.
was going to say, where are you taking us?
Well, here's why I'm mentioning this. So several U.S. postal workers were arrested yesterday in connection to a $1.3 million fraud and identity theft scheme. Now, let me share this with you. This is not a hoax. This was a statement that came from the DOJ, from the Department of Justice, on Thursday, and they stated that several USPS employees were arrested in connection with an identity theft scheme that resulted in a loss of $1.3 million. And the Department of Justice said that there's like 7 of them, all these names: Johnny Damas, Rashawn Richards, Devin Richards, Conrad Heron, list of them, Fabiola, Mom Point, names of all these people. Of the 4 suspects that were arrested, 3 were U.S. postal employees, and the remaining defendants are at large. And they were arrested in connection with their theft and unauthorized use of credit cards to defraud several national financial institutions, credit card companies, and major retailers, resulting in more than $1.3 million. That was intended losses as well as theft of hundreds of identities. So not only did they get that money, but they stole names of people. And these defendants, they conspired to steal credit cards from the mail and use those stolen credit cards at a variety of stores, including high-end retailers And then what they did was they'd sell some of the merchandise that they purchased with the stolen cards on a website called luxurysnob.com. Now, I'm not promoting them, but it's called luxurysnob.com. And this is according to the news release. Well, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said, as alleged, the defendants engaged in a year-long scheme to manipulate credit card companies and major retailers across New York and New Jersey by stealing credit cards and using those cards to purchase and subsequently sell luxury goods. The defendants took advantage of the public's trust we place in the United States Postal Service employees for their own financial gain. And
What a surprise.
yeah, and these two guys, these U.S. Postal employees, they were arrested in the Eastern District of New York, and they're going to be presented in front of this judge named James L. Cott. But, where I was going on that is that, I'm just wondering, with this mail and everything, this could be an easy way for, ballots to disappear.
Well, I think
through the mailman.
First of all, I think these postal workers who did this scheme, I think they're going to be hired and promoted by the Democratic Party.
I don't know if I'd say that. I don't know.
They're going to have big positions of power.
Andy, I don't know about that.
They're going to be leaders in the ballot stuffing for the next election.
Hey, there was a guy. Oh my God, I wish I had that story right now. There was a guy that just went to prison for, I think, 3 years or 10 years or something. He was a political figure. He just got busted for stuffing envelopes. I'll get that information and have that tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll have that tomorrow.
I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah.
He got fined a huge fine or something like that.
Yeah.
But he got busted for stuffing envelopes and something to do with the ballots as well.
It was Michael Ozzie Myers.
Do you have that information?
Yeah.
What is it you got on him?
Yeah, so it says Democratic lawmakers sentenced to 30 months in prison for committing
30 months? He's going to be gone a long time.
It says that he
had a big old head. I remember seeing his big head.
Oh, yeah. Bowling ball head. But, yeah, it basically says former Democratic Congress, Michael Ozzie Myers was sentenced to 3 years in prison for committing voter fraud by stuffing ballot boxes for Democratic candidates. Yeah, this is ridiculous. The crazy thing is, this guy is 79 years old.
He's 79.
He represented Pennsylvania District. Yeah.
Was he Democrat or Republican?
He was a Democrat.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. I don't know.
Who does this?
Crazy.
Who's always pushing for
this scheme? Hold up. This scheme says he was doing this from 2014 all the way to 2018. So he was doing this for 4 years.
So he was committing election fraud and stuffing ballot boxes for the Democratic candidates.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
But he did that from what years? You said 2014 or 2015?
Yeah, it says that.
Wow. Think about it. If one's doing it, how many more are doing this?
Exactly.
And that's why I was talking about the mail thing, I swear, I will stand in the line. Well, I don't have to worry about it here in Southern California. It never rains in Southern California.
Yeah, right.
But I'll tell you something, and watch it rain that day. It'll pour it out on me. But no, I'm telling you, I will not mail in another ballot. I will stand in line, and I will make sure that my vote counts, for sure. Vote, vote, vote. That's all I can tell you to do. I have another interesting story for you. So this Project Veritas, right?
I've heard of them, yeah.
They're great.
Well, there's this middle school teacher. Oh, if you see him, I can't wait till we can start showing videos on here and I can show y'all what I'm talking about. But this middle school teacher wants to burn down an entire system and fuck the parents.
What?
He says, I'm your parent now. Oh, yeah, they caught him on video. And if you see this guy, he looks like Satan.
Oh, my God.
I've seen him, with the woke. He's got the
my God.
All the tattoos and everything.
Well, this was an undercover video. And listen to this.
Can you play the video?
I wish I could, but we'll like I said, I got it going. It just takes time, but we're going to be playing videos on here. But I have to show it to y'all. You'd just be like, you'd fall off your chair. But this guy's name is Tyler Wynn, Wrynn. And he is a Will Rogers Middle School English teacher. And he told this undercover journalist, he says, bragged about having a large TikTok following. He says, so I have a rather large TikTok following and I'm an authority figure. He says, so I publish a Christmas message of, hey, if your parents don't love and support you for who you are this Christmas, fuck them, I'm your parent now. I love you, drink some water, and I'm proud of you. Trust me, I want to burn down the entire system, he said.
This guy has a God complex.
Wow. He attacked Christianity and disclosed that he wants to remove Christianity from progressive thought.
Isn't it already removed from progressive?
Right.
It's bad. I just had to share this with you. These kind of people are in our school systems.
They're teaching kids.
They're teaching kids. I mean,
Andy, what are your thoughts? I mean, you were a teacher for what, 25 years?
Yeah. I knew a few teachers like that. To be honest, most teachers didn't have that really strong political agenda. Where I was teaching, because I was teaching in the inner city in South Central Los Angeles, and when you're teaching there, people don't have time for all that bullshit, to be honest, because people are very real in those communities and really direct and straightforward. And I remember I had a student, and I was telling her, I had a teacher that I was working with who was a big, strong liberal, and the issue came up of how in certain states that a man could walk into a woman's bathroom if he just thought, I'm a woman.
oh my God.
If he just believed that.
Oh
So
my God.
I was telling that to the students. I was basically reading them a story like we're doing now, and you would see the looks. The kids would look at me like, "What are you talking about? Are you kidding me?" And I would say like, Mr. So and so thinks that's a good idea, because this other teacher I would debate with, and I would say, should a man be able to walk into a woman's bathroom just because he thinks he's a woman? And they would be like, are you fucking kidding? Excuse me. Are you kidding me? What the? And I'm like, that's what's happening here. And they'd be in such disbelief at this crap, at this insane liberal manipulation, brainwashing. But it's out there. It is out there. I mean, and people have to wake up. And the average person hears this stuff. Should a man be able to compete in women's sports, right? Just because he thinks they're a woman. And that's what's going on now, that swimmer in Pennsylvania.
Doesn't Bruce Jenner, what's his name? Kylie, what's her name now?
Caitlyn Jenner.
Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah.
I had to think for a second.
But doesn't Caitlyn, doesn't she believe that that's wrong?
I think so.
Like
yeah, I think she's against. She's against having biological men.
Listen, if back in my days, if you elementary school, doesn't matter. If a boy walked into a girl's bathroom, you get your ass beat.
Yeah.
You get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I want to share some other bizarre news. So, New York, remember we talked about last week, is like Batman. Gotham City, right? Well, remember, you're going to love this one. So, these bizarre thieves, they're now getting very clever. And you know how the Joker, he wore a costume, right?
Right.
The Riddler, he had a costume. What was it? Iceman, they all had costumes, right? Catwoman had a costume.
Penguin.
Robin had a costume. Well, New York is starting to put on costumes. And these thieves, they literally get dolled up, and these are all women, by the way. Oh, man, they beat the crap out of these girls on the subway. But what they did, and I wish I had the video, but this was just another normal day act of serious violence on a New York City subway. And on Sunday, there was a gang of females. Now, I'm not talking one or two here. I'm talking a bundle, right? And some of them look like a bundle. There's some
Wow.
they couldn't even fit in their suits, some of them. But anyway,
What
they
kind
were
of costumes
they
were
were
they?
clad in head to toe neon green leotards.
You serious?
I'm serious as all get out. And they stormed a New York City subway and they robbed several teenagers. Literally did this. And the gang, the Green Goblin Gang,
Oh my.
that's what I'm telling you. It's becoming Gotham. The Green Goblin Gang. They attack these teen girls, stealing their purses and their cell phones.
Ah, poor things.
And listen to this. Socialist City Councilwoman Tiffany Cobbin, she recently tweeted professing the safety of the New York subways hasn't aged well.
Yeah, as if.
Hasn't aged well. And subway violence is a 1 in a million event. I haven't seen it happen here in Los Angeles yet, really. Not like it is over there.
Listen, in Los Angeles, you know, you don't see too many people attacking and beating up people. It's more so if you're at a nice restaurant, they'll try to rob you for your
Just
watch.
give me your stuff. Here's a gun in your face. Give me your
And
stuff.
then, yeah, they take what they
You
want.
don't do it, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. The Green Goblin Gang.
Listen, they're the Green Goblin Gang. And this furious mom of one of the victims says the friends were complete animals, randomly attacking her daughter on her birthday. Imagine, it's your birthday, you're sitting in a subway, you got your cell phone, you got your purse, maybe you got it for your birthday, got your purse, and then all of a sudden, the Green Goblins appear.
Oh, buddy.
So they're coming in gangs. But now they're wearing costumes so they can't be identified.
Yeah.
And so I shouldn't be laughing. This is real. They're wearing full body neon green leotards.
You know, this is hard to believe.
And they punched and tossed around these girls on Times Square subway train at about 2 a.m. Sunday morning. And the victims were robbed of a cell phone and handbag. I wonder what's going to be next. Like, what could be the next costume? I hope I'm not in. I hope I'm not putting something out there
Yeah.
where you know.
Well, you know, it's interesting.
What would you do if you had like a bunch of green goblins coming at you? Here, you can have my. You want my wallet?
Imagine it's 2 a.m. and you've had a night of partying, and you're a little bit buzzed or stoned or out of your mind, and then these come. You're like,
Freaks come out at night.
Yeah,
this is insane.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Crazy. Well, that's what's happening, folks. Tomorrow, tune in. We'll be right back here sharing more information with you and the daily news that we get every day, because I know you haven't heard about the Green Goblins until I mention it to you. But hey, just go online now and Google Green Goblins, New York City subway, and you'll see, and there's videos up there probably of these Green Goblins. And Green Goblins, if you're listening, please don't come to me.
Yes, stay away.
Stay away. I don't want none of that green.
There you go.
Anyway, take care, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless all of you. Stay safe.